What's going on, party people? Back some more Babymonochrome action. This is a round 4 losers bracket match between a welcome guest and Laroxyl. Winner stays in the losers bracket. Loser is out of the tournament. Yeah, we've gotten to that point in the tournament where we're seeing some really good players getting eliminated here. So yeah, game 1, here we go. So on the Laroxyl side of the field here, we have a freaking Larvesta. Need I say more? I love this Pokemon so much. Fans of the channel know how much I appreciate this Pokemon. I fear its evolution in the higher tiers, and yet I should honestly probably be using its evolution more in the higher tiers. And here in Little Cup, it's a little bit of a hidden gem, I find. You know, this tier really lacks for good fire types outside of Larvesta and, let's say, Ponyta. Though I'm not really quite impressed by Ponyta yet, personally. So yeah. Very happy to see Larvesta. It is super weak to Stealth Rocks, of course, so you have to be playing around that. Now, luckily, Laroxyl has a Natu to help deal with that. No Rapid Spinner, but a Natu is a lot better than nothing. A Ferroseed to set up their own hazards. A Diglett to, you know, trap and knock some stuff out. A Volibee and a Mindfu, because those two just go hand in hand, man. It's like peanut butter and jelly, right? Now, on the welcome guest side of friends, I'm going to say a welcomed guest throughout this narration because I just know how my brain works. I'll try my best to say a welcome guest, but I mean, I'm gonna throw an extra T in there. I know it. I don't know. That's how my brain works. Anyways, so Mindfu, right? Frillish, a Pokemon we haven't seen too much of, but it's been very effective every time I've seen it, at least. Gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Recover, Shadow Ball, Scald. Like, it really does similar things to what its evolution does in the higher tiers. If you don't watch too much Little Cup, then you're focused more on those. But yeah, no, real good Pokemon. It's got that Ghost type as well to help spin block. Now, Laroxyl doesn't have a spinner, of course, but packing 2 Ghost types actually. So expect that Volibee, especially if that's a special one, maybe put in some big work here, an offensive Volibee perhaps. Anyways, Porygon, Ghastly. Got that Ghastly Abracore going, and then Ferroseed of their own to set up hazards. Again, gotta be very aware of that Natu, though. Let's get into it. Volibee lead from Laroxyl, Ghastly lead from Welcome Guest, and gets the trick off immediately. I think that's a fair exchange. Now, that's a crit knockoff. Ghastly managed to trick the Black Sludge to the Volibee, and then gets the Violite that it gained knocked off immediately. Now, it takes that crit because it got the Violate, so yeah, I don't know. I think that's still a pretty fair trade if you're a welcome guest. I mean, getting some chip damage on that Volibee, and it's losing its Violite. Gets a Will-O-Wisp off on this thing as well, take more residual damage. Is Ghastly still able to stay alive, taking another knockoff now that it doesn't have an item anymore. Fires off a Shadow Ball just to get some damage on the way out here, but hey, I think you got pretty good value out of that Ghastly. Actually lives a U-turn, which is the next click, and then Diglett's able to follow up with a beat up. But again, very good work from the Ghastly there, I think. Diglett's confirmed to be Life Orb. Porygon switches in here, takes an Earthquake for 46%, and fires off an Ice Beam for the KO. No way Diglett's taking that. Mindfu switching in here, threatening a fighting type move. Frillish comes out here as Laroxyl predicts that and goes for a sub here. Clicks Payback, 26%, not too much. Fires off a Shadow Ball to break the sub here, and then Mindfu U-turns out of there. Another crit too. Ferroseed switching in here to take the Shadow Ball. This is resisted because it's Generation 5, but also gets a Spadef drop, and then gets taunted on the follow-up too. Ferroseed's still able to get off a big grass move here. Clicks Giga Drain, 35%, but Frillish is able to recover that off next turn, which is exactly what happens here. So maybe fishing for a crit there. Taunt ended, but Frillish just clicks it again as the Rocks will probably click Giga Drain. Yep. That Frillish is low. It has to recover this turn. Gets disabled too, though, from the Cursed Body, so pretty much have to get out there at that point. Volibee coming up here as the Frillish recovers. Now, this thing is revealed to be physical, so Knockoff's not doing too much. Actually, just clicks Roost to help with that residual damage that it keeps taking here. Natu coming on here as a Ferroseed. Oh no, doubles into Frillish, actually, by a welcome guest. And then Natu U-turns out of there. Right back into Volibee here. Take the Shadow Ball pretty well. Again, that damage is adding up. You pretty much have to Roost here if you're Laroxyl. Porygon switching in here on the Volibee. Traces the weak armor. Yep, there's the Roost. What's Porygon going to do here? Mindfu switching in here, probably on a T-Wave. Okay, yeah, that's a good play. Predicting a switch. And then has Psychic, actually, to hit this Mindfu pretty hard. U-turns out of there. But does get a weak armor boost in the process. Here's the Larvesta. Here's the threat. It's going to get paralyzed and get fully paralyzed. That's unfortunate. Frillish switching in here. Oh, another fully paralyzed. That's too bad. Now, Welcome Guest uses an opportunity to recover up as Larvesta actually clicks Will-O-Wisp there to get some residual on the Frillish. Shadow Ball maybe predicting a switch there. Larvesta is able to U-turn out into Volibee. Laroxyl bringing Volibee back out here. Porygon switching in here, traces the weak armor as Volibee clicks Roost. You kind of have to at this point. It's crazy this Volibee's been able to stick around as long as it has. Larvesta comes right back out to take the Ice Beam quite well. Porygon clicking Recover here. And there's the Morning Sun from the Larvesta, so able to get some of the HP back. Gets fully paralyzed, probably looking to click U-turn there. Frillish recovers, and there's the U-turn again from the Larvesta. Mindfu switching in here. Can't get burned, obviously, because it's already paralyzed. U-turns out on the incoming Mindfu from a Welcome Guest. Larvesta coming out here. Takes the knockoff. Violite, no Flame Bardy, and gets fully paralyzed again. That's unfortunate. Frillish coming out here. Doesn't get fully paralyzed, clicks U-turn. Here's the Pharaoh Seed. Maybe looking to set up some hazards. There's the taunt. Pharaoh Seed clicks Giga Drain. That is the right click. Frillish has to recover here, as that is what they do. Giga Drain. And yeah, Frillish pretty much has to recover again. It's switching to Mindfu instead to take the Giga Drain. Next, a big crit. And is Pharaoh Seed still going to be taunted after his turn? No! So Pharaoh Seed can actually go for some Stealth Rocks here. Instead, doubles into Larvesta, trying to get that burn on the Flame Body. Doesn't get it. Here's the Abra. Laroxyl switching to Volibee on the Psychic there. Do wonder what type of Abra we're dealing with here. Mindfu switching in to take a U-turn. Not fearing a Brave Bird from a burned Volibee. Here's the Larvesta. As this Mindfu actually has Taunt as well. Can't get off a Will-O-Wisp. Actually, was that Morning Sun click? Gets fully paralyzed. I'm going to rewind a little bit here. The Taunt. And it was Morning Sun after all. Okay, I was thinking it was a Will-O-Wisp click. Either way, can't move. Then gets fully paralyzed on the Frillish coming back in. Take advantage of the situation. Fires off a Shadow Ball instead. Maybe expecting a switch. U-turns out of there and knocks that thing out with a crit. That's awesome. Natu coming in here. Porygon. Both Pokemon have Magic Bounce right now. So Natu's going to switch out of there. Goes into Mindfu because that's definitely the way to go. You can't really go into something like Pharaoh Seed in that situation. Big high jump kick on the opposing Mindfu. Right back in Larvesta on a high jump kick. It's going to knock this thing out and gets the Flame Body on the third one. Nice. So Larvesta putting in some work here. Volibee just going to come in and Roost. And Mindfu actually clicks Taunt. Now it's important to note that Volibee outsped the Mindfu as well. So we are likely looking at a slow Fu here. Or one of the slower varieties, of course. And still gets a Brave Bird off, gets the crit KO. I don't know if that mattered. I feel like it didn't, but don't quote me on that. It is super effective after all. Porygon coming out here as Laroxyl switches back into Mindfu. Gets a Recover off, but probably going to have to switch out. Goes to Natu. Maybe predicting a T-Wave there, but also just to take the Psychic. Actually, that Mindfu was burned, wasn't it? It's paralyzed. It was already paralyzed. Okay. What am I thinking here? Natu getting off a big Roost here. Welcome Guest just spamming Ice Beam, gets the freeze. In comes Mindfu. Take another Ice Beam there. And right back into Volibee on the Psychic. Okay, so just playing around Ice Beams here. Not getting fully paralyzed either. Get the Roost, so at least it's landed and can take an Ice Beam a bit better. But that chip damage, man, that Black Sludge just catching up here. Really just needs this thing to get fully paralyzed. And there's the crit. Okay, so we knew that was a possibility. High jump kick for 76% on the Porygon. I think it's got the weak armor boost now, so it might outspeed on the follow-up here. Oh, no, it does not. And both Pokemon are paralyzed as well. In comes Pharaoh Seed. This Abra switches in here. Sets up a sub. Oh, on a T-Wave. Good play by Welcome Guest. Or good bring, rather, bringing the sub Abra. Likely clicking HP Fighting there. I'm thinking this is a Life Orb Abra, too. If it's running sub. Follows up with a Psychic to get the KO, and Laroxyl just opts to forfeit there. So, a Welcome Guest winning a pretty lengthy 58-turn Game 1. pretty lengthy game for Gen 5 Little Cup, I must say. And we didn't really see any, like, overtly stally shenanigans going on, like we did with, you know, the Bronze or Rest Talk kind of thing. Usually long games, at least from what I've seen, I'm no expert on Gen 5 Little Cup, but from what I've seen so far, usually those longer games are from, like, Rest Talk, Calm Mind, shenanigans, maybe Cradilly doing some barrier stuff, but this was actually just a pretty well-played game from both players, and they really used their recovery smartly. And this video has already gone long enough. Let's get into game 2. All right, here we go. Game 2, Welcome Guests versus Laroxyl. Round 4, Babymonochrome. Here we go, losers bracket. Laroxyl bringing the Larvesta again. That's what I like to see, man. That is my guy. I love this Pokemon so much. I mean, I think this thing's going on the thumbnail, win or lose, right? This is a great Pokemon. What can I say? I'm a fan. Okay, so also bringing the Natu again and the Diglett again. And did Laroxyl bring a Porygon in game 1? I think they did. No, they did not. Okay. Well, there you go. There's a Porygon this time. Bringing Hail. I should probably mention that. And a Staryu as well. So actually bringing a Spinner this time around. Though we didn't see either player get up Hazard last game. Maybe that contributed to why that game took so long. But yeah, Laroxyl bringing Hazard control to this one. A Welcome Guest did not, nor did they bring a Natu to this one. So I'm thinking probably Diglett's the Stealth Rocker there for Laroxyl. But yeah, Welcome Guest bringing weird a Mindfu and a Timber. That's not something you see every day. Dual fighting types. How does this match up against Laroxyl? Well, you have a Snover that's weak to fighting, quite threatened by the Mach Punch from Timber. And of course, Porygon doesn't appreciate that either. So maybe this is a type of team that really looks to have Porygon gone. Porygon gone, say that 5 times fast. We also have a Pawniard. Pretty cool. A Ghastly. Maybe Ghastly's looking to have Porygon removed from the battle here. Or maybe that Volibee as well, which I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a nasty plot set. And then Ferroseed to set up hazards, but again, there's a Natu and a Staryu you have to break through, so Welcome Guest gonna have to play careful with that Ferroseed. Let's get into it. Snover lead from Laroxyl, Ghastly lead from Welcome Guest, getting up Hail right away. Quick's big Blizzard there, that just knocks out, that's probably Choice Scarfed Snover. In fact, yeah, that is definitely Choice Scarfed Snover. I should know my speed tiers by now, man. So, Ghastly's gone. In comes Pawniard. Laroxyl switching Larvesta on the Night Slash there. Crit! No burn. So Larvesta's not looking to take 2 of those. Switches into Porygon. Traces Defiant here. Takes the Night Slash a little bit better than the Larvesta did. But still probably wants to click Recover on the next turn. In comes Timber from Welcome Guest. Yep, recovers on the next turn. And in comes Natu on a Drain Punch. Wow, does 0. That is quad resist after all. Might be a fatter Natu there. Quick Psychic does quite a bit of damage there. Payback doing a lot more than Drain Punch did, to say the least there. And just roosts off that damage on another Payback. Okay, that did a lot there. And then just opts to follow up with the Psychic there. So Natu pretty low, taking Hail. In comes Pawniard, and Pursuits traps the Natu. Nice. So that's... Don't have to fear that thing getting in the way of Ferroseed anymore. In comes Diglett, trapping the Pawniard. Pawniard's faster, but just kind of has to click Pursuit there. And that is indeed a Choice Scarfed Pawniard as well. The fact that they outsped the Diglett. In comes Ferroseed, takes an Earthquake. Okay, misses Life Orb Diglett. There's the Stealth Rocks. Okay, so now you're looking to maybe spin if you're Laroxyl. Second Earthquake does get the job done. Diglett taking Life Orb and Hail. In comes Volibee. Just goes for the final Gambit. Okay. Interesting click. That might have been their best click, though, for all we know. In comes the Scarf Snover. Going to be able to just click Blizzard. Volibee lives. And then gets an Air Slash off. Crit. Kills. I don't know if that mattered. Probably didn't, because it's not a Violate. In comes the Staryu. Gets the Rapid Spin kill. Not something you see every day in Gen 5, but there you go. In comes the Mindfu. Gets a T-Wave off on the Mindfu, and it gets fully paralyzed. So Laroxyl's in a really good spot here. Quick Scald just to get some chip. Hopefully this Minefield doesn't have any way to set up or anything like that, but high jump kick's kind of looking like its best move here. And then the crit Scald gets the job done, but again, I don't know if Laroxyl is getting through the rest of that team either way. You have Larvesta that would outspeed. Had Flare Blitz, that was definitely done. And then, of course, a Porygon, which would also outspeed and be able to just get it done with whatever move. So we're all tied up at 1. Let's get into Game 3. All right, here we go. Game 3, Laroxyl and a welcome guest. Laroxyl bringing the team back again, bringing that same Hail team that we just saw in Game 2. Maybe some sets were changed up. I guess we'll find out, but not much to go through. And bringing Larvesta, 3rd game in a row. Hell yeah, brother. Now, welcome guest bringing a very different team, a very threatening team. We have a team that has 2 Shell Smashers, though that Dwellble's likely just going to be setting up hazards and not be Shell Smashing. But an Axew can do all the setting up for it if it so chooses to do so with Dragon Dances. You also have a Drifloon that can set up or get its speed boost going with the, why is the name of the ability just slip in my mind? Unburdened speed boost. I know what Unburdened is, just been killing this narration so far. I knew I'd have a blip eventually. A Clamperl, my personal favorite Shell Smasher in this tier. It is tough to pull it off. Sometimes when you do, this thing can just hit such huge damage outputs with the Deep Sea Tooth item that boosts its special attack stat. To get a little bit of speed, and that thing can just go to town. And then an Abra to go with a Volibee. Probably have a support Volibee here. Click and knock off to knock off some of Violites on some of the Pokemon on the opposing side of the field. Or maybe knocking off a Snover somehow. That Choice Scarf, I don't know how that works, but maybe there's a way. Okay, Staryu lead from Laroxyl. Dwebble lead from Welcome Guest as expected. Gets up a T-Wave on the Dwebble. Manages to get the Rocks up, but then Rapid Spins it immediately. Gets a Weak Armor boost. I was about to say Break Sturdy, but we know this thing's not sturdy. Clicks Knockoff. Staryu loses to Violet. Dwebble's going to be able to take a Scald and then gets fully paralyzed, so no hazards from a Welcome Guest here, as it's just going to drop to a second Scald. In comes Abra. Natu switching in for Laroxyl to take the Energy Ball, and then switches into Volibee. Takes the U-turn, gets a Weak Armor boost, and in comes Porygon. Volibee clicks Nasty Plot. Okay, I was wrong about that being a support one, but does get Thunder Waved, unfortunately. So, at least Volibee can get off a big Dark Pulse and something. Staryu is the sack of choice for Laroxyl. In comes Snover, threatening a big Blizzard here. Gets it off, and gets the kill. In comes Clamperl. Click Shell Smash. Yep, there it is. Okay, so Welcome Guest thinks this is a good time to pull the trigger. We will find out here. In comes Larvesta on a Surf. Oh, big Surf. Maybe predicting the switch there, too, actually. Porygon coming out here. Surf just gets the job done on the Porygon. Okay, so Clamperl looking prime for a sweep here. Maybe trying to bluff the Sucker Punch somehow, but Diglett's going to drop. Snover clicks the Ice Shard. That's not going to be enough. Ice Beam kill from Clamperl, and then it can just knock out the Natu. So a little bit of an anti-climactic game 3 there, but huge Shell Smash sweep from the Clamperl. That's what I like to see. Again, that's why I like this Pokemon so much. Clamperl can just like win games, and a Welcome Guest was able to pull off the big Clamperl sweep and stay alive in this tournament. Moving on to round 5 of the losers bracket here, and we'll maybe face an opponent that fell from the winners bracket from round 3 as that round 5. And I mean, like, I'm uploading this today on Sunday. Tomorrow we start to see the round 5 matchups here, so stay tuned for more Babymonochrome action. Be sure to like, subscribe, and all that. And thank you so much for watching. Peace.